Hello again. It's been a little while, but I guess this month has been slow for a number of reasons. But here we are again, another very hot day in June. If you see the news, there's like this heat wave going on all around the country, and then. But that's why one of the reasons we're inside. I think it's going to be more pleasant than outside for this. We are commenting together on the Chateauneuf du Pape, one of my favorite, if you have been following our channel, by Domaine du Caillou. Donc it's Chateauneuf du Pape, it's their reserve bottling, 1998, and it's the Clos du Caillou. So that's the real name of the full name, the Clos du Caillou, and it goes to back historically a clos that they had, which is an enclosed, parcel that they grew grapes. I don't even know, before even they grew grapes. And so it was a very rocky area, and it's kind of has some of the signature round stones that you find in Chateauneuf and that Domaine du Télégraphe is famous for. But anyway, just to kind of refer back, we had a bottle of 1999 of this exact cuvée 2 summers ago. It was also a heat wave, so I would suggest you go back and look at this just for reference. It's the same wine, but they're going to be different in the commentary. You'll have a little bit of the background in that video as well. It's a really interesting and a bit of a tragic story, because the new generation of the Prisin family who owned this property, going back, in time, the latest was three women, so no sons. He had three daughters, and one of them, Sylvie, I think, she was working in a winery in Sancerre with the Vacheron family. They have a really well-known Sancerre Domaine, and she married one of the sons, Jean-Denis, and they moved back together to Chateauneuf to take over this property as a young married couple in the sort of mid to late 90s. And Jean-Denis became a really incredibly talented winemaker, focusing on very sort of natural, hands-off techniques and more of a Burgundian sort of style. And he came up with this cuvée. 1998 was the first réserve cuvée of the Domaine, which is their top Chateauneuf. They have other Chateauneuf, Quartz, which we've drank together, Safre, and just a Chateauneuf. And they also have some Côte du Rhône, also several different levels. But and this ended up being so highly rated and so highly sought after, and so expensive. It kind of became one of these wines that you see happening on and off in different parts of the world. It's got a lot of Mourvèdre in it, sometimes up to 50%, 40%. It's hard to figure out what each vintage had, but in the early days, it really had more. Now it has some Syrah, I think, in it, but this we're talking here Mourvèdre and Grenache, probably majority Grenache, but lots of Mourvèdre, 30, 40%. And they're co-fermented sort of in concrete and neutral wood, and then they not filtered, again, sort of really letting the vineyard, the sandy, they have some sandy vineyards also, which for the Grenache, which is not far from where Chateau Rayas has these, famous sort of sandy vineyards. Anyway, so you got a little bit of that magic, let's say. And another side of the story is Jean-Denis died very young in a car accident in 2002, I think. So he really only made 4 cuvées, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. 2001 was the most iconic of them all. If you can find it, it's going to be very expensive. It got 100 points by Parker, and it was just sort of contributed to the reputation of this cuvée, and they still make it, so you can still find it every year. It's still the top cuvée in the region, and I haven't had any of the recent ones, but so here we go. 98 was also an incredible vintage in Chateauneuf, so that certainly won't hurt. Here we are. We look at the color. I mean, this is a 25, 26-year-old wine opened a couple of days ago and for Father's Day. And so the color is still incredibly, like Bordeaux-like, very dark, not really much evolved. It's 14% alcohol, which was typical. I mean, it sounds high, but for Chateauneuf, not so much. On the nose, a little bit of volatility from the alcohol, but really very aromatic. Lots of fruit, and lots of tertiary notes as well in terms of the smoked meat, kind of earth tones, but with some herbs, like sort of woody herbs like garrigues and what have you. But really lots of red, dark red fruit, not raspberries. I would say like blueberries, blackberries. This wine is still very alive. I went back and I looked at what we thought of the 1999 from 2 years ago. It was funny because that wine was more evolved, a little bit more bricked around the edges, had a little bit more of that cooked fruit that you get when a wine ages. This is still very, very alive. I mean, it's pretty stable. It's probably not going to get any better, but you could come back. It's been like this for the last 5 years probably, and probably be like this for the next 5 years. So it's really in this perfect kind of stable stage. Very nice acidity still after all this time. And that probably comes from Vacheron's insistence on this kind of Bourguignon type style. It's just a beautiful combination of fruit, savories, meats, herbs, the earth, sort of from the south, and wrapped with a good level of alcohol, nice acidity, very, very smooth finish. The tannins are sort of imperceptible. It's really just, and the Mourvèdre to me really adds that punch that you don't have in the quartz. That's really primarily Syrah, which is 80% Grenache, 20% Syrah. A totally different profile, much more sort of subtle and fine. This got the subtle, it's got the finesse if you want, but it also has that little bit of punch that comes from Mourvèdre that I think really goes well with something that's already been sort of refined and toned down by its age, but still has that punch. It's just really, again, that's why that's why it's one of my favorite Chateauneufs with the age and all. Cheers, and see you soon.